Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting for the Shafter City Council. Today is Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Let it be known that all members of the council are present with the exception of Councilmember Espinoza, who is out with an excused absence. Tonight, Councilmember Olvera will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and Councilmember Alvarado will lead us in the invocation.
Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing, please. Heavenly Father, we just come before you. We just thank you for this opportunity, Lord, to be able to serve our community. We ask that you continue guiding us and watching over us, Lord. And as we look over this agenda, Lord, as we go through this agenda, Lord, we ask that you guide us and give us the wisdom, the knowledge, understanding, and to make the right decisions, Lord, that will please you and also bless our community. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Okay, very good. With that said, I will look for a motion to approve the agenda. Any changes?
No changes, Mayor.
Oh, there you are. Sorry, I did see you on her screen.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Prout and a second by Councilmember Olvera. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Olvera,
Yes.
Alvarado,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes. Write this in real quick. I apologize. Okay, we do have a presentation tonight for American Refuse Recycling Award. Hi, everybody. Come up over here. But it's probably my hardest to like. I was told the other day that you don't hear very well from this, so this is me trying. Okay. All right, so our Shafter Recycling Award tonight is being presented to the Shafter Youth Center and Community Action Partnership of Kern. And I believe, Angie's here. Freddie Hernandez is our Director of Youth and Community Services, as well as Pritika? Am I close? Okay. Is also here, Chief Business Development Office. I'm gonna have you come up, if you guys don't mind. All three. And clearly this is your award. So you could take a photo or have Linda come up with this. Oh, now you have to be in it. Jeff is like, this is not my thing. So I'm gonna try to talk as loud as I can for the mic's purposes. Tonight they're being nominated for the ongoing commitment to environmental education, reuse, and recycling in Shafter. For many years, our program manager, Angie Nelson, has continued to be at the forefront of education or educating our youth on ways we can help the environment that we all live in. Whether it be through education in the forms of books, crafts, guest speakers, presentations, or field trips, students receive a well-rounded look into the world we live in and the effects we all have on it. Every year, Angie and her staff have welcomed American Refuse into their summer program, as well as other events throughout the year to talk about a variety of ways to recycle and reuse items. Reading stories, making crafts out of items that would have normally been discarded, virtual tours, recycling games, and more. Even during the hardships of COVID, program manager Angie Nelson helped to orchestrate a virtual program, Virtual Trash. Is that what I'm, okay, interesting. I would like to have seen that.
Well, we can relive it.
Okay,
We can
okay. Working with American Refuse staff, we were able to walk the students through our materials recovery facility. We looked at a variety of recycling items, contamination items, tire shredding, cardboard recycling, CRV recycling, and more. The students watched garbage trucks dump loads, roll-offs move around the yard, and front loaders move piles around all at safe distances virtually. Oh, is that it? Sort of. Okay, we're gonna go with the sort of. The Shafter Youth Center was also able to receive grant funding through a Cal Recycle grant that American Refuse applied for, and the Youth Center was a recipient of new trays, utensils, plates, carts, a dishwasher, and more, thus having a reduction of items that were thrown away every day. Students can now have trays and plates to eat from that can be reused, and thus having a positive impact in our environment here in Shafter. The Student Youth Center also started its food scrap recycling program before it was even mandated. Students divert their leftover food scraps, thus sending their food scraps to be composted to our farmlands. To take it a step further, the Shafter Youth Center also reached out to American Refuse for used tires. The center painted them for their garden where students learn how to grow fruits and vegetables, all while promoting healthy eating to students. They also use local compost for their garden. The Shafter Youth Center was also the first ever community compost giveaway in Shafter to promote your food waste isn't going to waste, to show residents that their organics and food waste can go to make compost. Many residents participated and were very thankful for the free compost for their gardens. The students also have some fun in the cooler weather. The Shafter Youth Center also participates in a yearly beach cleanup in San Simeon Beach to help keep our oceans clean and protect our marine life. So again, we thank you, Shafter Youth Center, for all that you do here. We appreciate your dedication to education and our youth in so many important topics and letting them experience some fun field trips as well. So with that, leave that here. This is your certificate of recognition from the city of Shafter, as well as Linda's plaque. Oh. So use that one instead.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now, Linda, that is a yearly award, correct? Very, very good. That is our only presentation for tonight. We'll move into public comment. Public comment for anyone wishing to speak tonight. It would be an item included on the agenda or on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. We are invited to speak. You have 5 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment time is open. I saw you jumping up there so fast. I wanted to see. You just wait it out.
Linda Martin, American Refuse. I just wanted to announce to all the residents of the city of Shafter that American Refuse and Varner Brothers are providing free compost and mulch to residents. It's over at the new city yard off of Ash, where the community recycle bins used to be. So please take advantage of it. It's where your organics are going. Thanks.
This is the third one, correct? We've done 2 others in the last 12 months, right?
So those were like a daily event. where
Oh, okay.
So we had one at the youth center. American had another one at a bulk item event. And then I think Varner did one in Gossamer Grove
Mhm.
somewhat recently. So this is just going to be all the time.
Good.
So we'll just keep refilling it. The haulers will just continue to refill it for everyone.
Don't run. Mhm. How's it going?
Good.
The rollout's been done. We're working through this process, okay?
Yeah.
I was just looking for an update from you guys. Well, I have you here.
We're doing good.
Okay.
Our numbers are getting better for Shafter, so it's very encouraging that folks are doing a great job. I feel like more people are adjusting. I know it has been a little challenging for some,
It takes time.
but you know, it was a new system for everyone, but I feel like everyone is doing a good job. We're still learning on some items, so we'll go back after they correct the problem because we don't want to contaminate. So Jeff, did you have anything else to add? No?
All good things, all good things.
Trees or plants?
Oh, any tree, I'm sorry.
Is there any trees or plants giveaway that you come across that you
I
might?
haven't. Is there,
Okay.
if there's a project or anything, I can certainly reach out to folks.
No, I didn't know during that one event that you're gonna have on the Ash that you're gonna give away anything else or just
Oh, the tree giveaway that we did during the bulk item, that was sort of one-time
Oh.
deal that I had received a lot of trees for the community, so we gave them to the schools and then we had a giveaway for residents.
Okay.
Oh, and then switching topics. Air board.
Mhm.
There are air purifiers available to all the city residents.
Mm.
Believe it's on the
Social media.
Facebook page, so please take advantage of it. There's several of us that are on the air board committee. And it was a real push to get those so that everyone can take advantage of those.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, any other comments before I close the public comment time? Nothing online? Okay. Very good. Public comment time is closed. Council announcements and reports. Mr. Olvera, I'll look to you first, sir.
I just want to say that the First Friday event I thought went very well. Thank you to all the city staff and the community that participated in that. Looking forward to the second one in August. So come on out, bring your booths and be a part of this community event. That's all I have.
Mr. Alvarado.
You know, I don't have anything to report other than I did hear good folks who are saying great things about the First Friday and almost got jealous. I wish I was here, but I wasn't.
You were having fun.
But I'm looking forward to the one in August. So.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Prout.
Yes, there were some of us that attended the Grow Academy eighth grade promotion. It was held at the Shafter High Auditorium this year. Really
It was beautiful.
well attended and well done. It was very exciting. And it was touching to feel the parents and everybody that was there. It was really very, very nice. And I know they appreciated the help from everyone, especially with the high school. Also on the First Friday, heard very positive remarks about the activity, and I'm sure that the next one can have a following. Might be a challenge with the weather, but it'll be fun to see just if people will come out and adjust to the temperature and come even later. So, and I thank everybody that participated because there was a variety, not just food, not just giveaways, but just a good show and a good variety for all ages. It was, I mean, you need to keep your head up. It was well done. Also, when I attended the AB 617, I watched it on Zoom this time. The air room purifiers. I thought it was worthy to mention the fact that Shafter, there's $1 million on this program, and there are 5,000 units. And they really want to see people in Shafter that will submit an application. It's really simple. And as of the last date, only 161 had applied, but I know of others that have. And I know that you're putting out to other organizations in every place that might have someone's attention. So it's a good way to just get a free air purifier and see how it works. And we should all benefit from it. Also at the meeting, they commented a little bit about the breakout sessions. One of them had to do with the residential vehicle replacement that's going to come up here August and September. The other one was the EV charging stations. Are we still going to get some funding on that?
Mayor Pro Tem, we qualify, we haven't applied, but that option exists. We actually have EV charging funding through COG that we're focused on right now.
Can they work together?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I thought too. So we'll see how that one comes along. Because August is just around the corner, so we'll see how that happens. And then the bike pass was another one that there was quite a lot of excitement at the facility that night, but safe routes to schools is a good place to keep in mind with bike paths. Also, there was a wrap up from Oil and Gas, which was the California GEM, that told about their mission and the responsibilities that will help in reduction for emissions. It doesn't, I don't know how to say it, but we're not in such a bad situation, but they are doing all of these monitorings as well as throughout the whole state. So we'll see how that's going to affect everyone in the long term. Okay, then I also had a task force meeting, and that task force meeting this time was really interesting because there was a lot of planning coming about food recovery. And have you met the new lady that's at Richland School, Kimberly? Yes, yes. Well, they're gonna be setting her up. She knows about it, I know, because he helped us too with our Rotary event. But because she is new here, yeah, but I think she realizes it is pretty important that we get into that program. There's also still a reorganizing meeting for colors. If anyone's interested in coming, that's on June the 29th, and it just runs for an hour from 12 to 1. It's held at the Tin Cup in the conference room. Also, Kiwanis is planning a harvest time event in October. And I know our mayor has been involved in it too, but there's quite a lot of excitement coming about as to what we could do with that event. So if you want to be involved, yeah, they can use some help with that. There's also Vacation Bible Schools going on right now. There's a lot of activities for kids in the community. It includes also at the library, the adult reading program that's scheduled now, which is brand new, right, David? The adult reading program? Yes, with adults, yeah, this year is the first time that they said it. So with the children as well as with the adults, that was a good deal. And also we met the new person that was hired for program coordinator, who is Skylar Garcia. He is a Shafter resident, went to college, got his degree, was working down south, but anyway, he found out about our program here and he did apply, and it's got lots going on right now with baseball, volleyball, tennis, cross country, and soccer. Good program with all ages involved in the program. And then, of course, the Chamber of Commerce on July the 3rd are still looking for sponsors to put on fireworks for a local community. And the Kern Cog meeting that I attended this time, which was on the 15th, we did accept the report on the cargo study. Cargo study has to do with transportation with trucks and future of what's going to happen with all the growth and developments coming on for this area. And now that we've accepted and filed this report, they're getting more funding to extend the study. And so that will go into the next phase. But that's all I have right now.
Very good. I'm added just a couple things. I can't thank the city staff enough, Rachel. You specifically for you. Well, I know Vanessa had a lot to do with it too with the vendors, but thank you very much for the first Friday. I don't think it was a one-time deal. I believe wholeheartedly that we'll continue this effort. We grow with it, we shape it and figure out what works as we continue on. But it's one of the most promising things to look at and see all the families, right? That was the intent behind it. And you see, you know,
That's right.
families, kids, strollers. It was fantastic seeing it. Great event. Mike, thank you for you and your entire team. Even keeping the guys out there on ant control, because that was a mess there too. But you know what? I just, there's not enough things that I can really have just to share with you guys. Because it means so much just to sit out there and see what you guys put out there and what we did for the community. And there's just, again, not enough things. I'm not trying to overdo it or what have you, but it just warmed my soul to see that. And really, I think the outlook from the community was super positive with that too. So thank you. Thank you. Also, I'm going to do an insert for Chief. This isn't for a helicopter, just an insert for Chief. But fireworks seem to be going off quite a bit. And I think we need to get a social media post out if we can, because there is ordinance in place. You light, we can cite, and you can be fined in doing it. Please, if you're hearing this or eventually seeing it on social media, please be mindful of that. Stop. We're getting a lot of dogs who are, I think Nick is starting to get a little busy with animal control and dogs starting to get out and animals going crazy. It's starting to pick up more than it should right now. So I'm just asking very kindly to please not. Thank you. Okay, with that said, we're moving on to consent calendar.
Okay, I'd like to announce at this time that I will abstain from voting on item number 5, which has to do with Orchard Park specific plan.
Okay, very good. On the consent calendar tonight, there are 18 items. I will try to brief through. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, the reasoning is because I live within 500 feet of the project.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let me brief through those 18 items. Number 1, approve general checks. Number 2, approve payroll. Number 3, approving minutes. Number 4, approving the cancellation of the regular scheduled city council meeting of July 4th. Number 5, introduce for second reading by title only and waive reading and adopt ordinance 746. This is specific plan amendment number 2206. Again, Mayor Pro Tem declaring the conflict and will vote absentee. Number 6, introduce for second reading by title only and waive reading and adopt ordinance 747 for specific plan amendment number 2307 to the Gossamer Grove specific plan. Number 7, introduce for second reading by title only and waive reading, adopting ordinance 748, approving a zone change number 2371. Number 8, accept bid received for the purchase of 1 forklift, authorize the purchase of 1 forklift from Sequoia Equipment in the amount of $102,541.73. Number 9, award X IT Solutions for the cable infrastructure installation and public safety camera purchase in the amount of $49,998.59. Number 10, approve the purchase of 1 Juniper EX3400 network switch, 1 40-gate firewall, and 6 Juniper wireless access points that are required to complete the ARPA-approved Veterans Park projects. The cost for this purchase amount to be $33,116.81. Number 11, ratify the city manager action for the purchase of 2 fleet trucks from Motor City Buick GMC in the amount of $126,347.46. Number 12, adopt resolution 2927, authorizing the city manager or acting city manager to execute program supplement agreement F028 for federal aid project number STPL 5281034. 13, adopt resolution 2929, authorizing the filing of an application for Regional Surface Transportation Program, RSTP, funding and committing the necessary local match and stating the assurance to complete the project. Number 14, adopt resolution 2928, approving participation in the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District Road Paving and Sidewalk Installation Program Plan. Number 15, approve final map for track number 7388, phase 1. Number 16, adopt resolution 2930, approving the engineer's report and declaring intention to levy, that's a horrible word, levy, and collect assessments within existing landscaping and lighting districts for fiscal year 2023 to 2024. Number 17, approve purchase of a 15-foot by 20-foot Silverado modern pergola from Forever Redwood in the amount not to exceed $40,000. Number 18, authorize the city manager to draft a congestion mitigation and air quality funding letter of support to Caltrans to construct a roundabout at the intersection of 7th Standard Road and State Route 43. Those are your 18 items. I am looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion for approval by Councilmember Olvera, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Prout. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Olvera?
Yes.
Alvarado?
Yes.
Prout?
Yes, but abstain on 5.
And Gibbon?
Yes. Okay, spell. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, very good. Moving on to management reports. Tonight on management report, we are fairly busy. We have 6 items on the docket. Item number 1 is the appropriations limit for fiscal year 2023 to 2024, consistent with Article X111, which is Article 13B of the California Constitution, and selecting the annual adjustment factors.
Sorry, Mayor and Council, by way of background, items 1 and 2 under the management reports be presented to you by our finance director, Roger Sanchez. With item number 2, that is our operating budget for proposed fiscal year 2023-2024. As of which, you know, we've had a series of workshops. So this evening is the final version of the budget that includes all of council's directives and priorities consistent with the strategic goals for the city. So with that, Roger.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council. So tonight I have a brief presentation or review of the appropriations limit. So under the gun spending limit, and that is of Article 8B of the state constitution, and adopted as Proposition 4 in June 1979. And it was later modified by Proposition 111 in 1990. The city is required to annually adopt a resolution setting an appropriations limit for the upcoming fiscal year. For the 23-24, the city's appropriation is subject to limitations are about $31 million, which is less than the maximum of, or the allowed of $424 million. So a brief explanation in essence is the state constitution puts limits on how much we can raise taxes and spending. So we're allowed to make increases based on population growth and inflation. But a city cannot out of the blue say, okay, we're gonna double taxes and things. There's limitations on that. And so there's a formula, there's a calculations with the base from 1979, and going forward, we adjust for inflation and population growth. So there's room, we're in compliance. So we're asking the council at this time to approve the resolution number 2923 to to approve this appropriations limit. With that, if you have any questions.
Very good. Council, any questions for Mr. Sanchez? Okay, very good. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Councilmember O'Vera,
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado and a second by Councilmember Olvera. Roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Vera,
Yes.
Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
and Gibbon.
Yes, you're excited tonight. Item number 2, which is the adopt resolution 2924 approving and adopting the annual operating budget and capital improvement plan for fiscal year 2023 to 2024. Mr. Sanchez.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members. So this is a continuations. We had various meetings related to the budget. There has been no other changes to the budget since we last met on June 6th. We presented the draft. So at this point, we're asking the council to approve resolution 2924, adopting this budget. So we do have an estimated surplus in the general fund of about $300,000. So like I said, no other changes. You should have been given a budget book as part of the package. So if you do have any questions, if you'd like me to sit with you in details, I'll be happy to meet if you have any further questions. But this is all I have is basically to ask you to approve and adopt the budget.
Very good. I do want to say thank you. The book looks fantastic. Yes, I did read through that, so thank you. You've done a great job in putting that together, as well as the rest of the team who had a lot of input with that. I will say, council, if you do have questions, please reach out to Mr. Sanchez, Mr. Gonzalez as well. Very intelligent when it comes to showing numbers and how to make sense of things. So I do appreciate the time you've spent with me as well. With that, looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, second by Mayor Pro Tem Prout. Roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Vera,
Yes.
Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
and Gibbon.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Sanchez, for your time in this. On to item number 3, award a professional services agreement to, I'm going to butcher this. You guys are going to help me. Reftilis?
Tell us close.
Oh, Reftelis, man. Award a professional service agreement to Reftelis Financial Consultants Incorporated for preparing a utility rate study for the city's water and wastewater enterprises in the amount of $76,285. Sir?
Sorry, Mayor and Council, I'm going to introduce this real quick. As you know, it is not only a best practice in the industry, but it is proper fiduciary responsibility to every 5 years at least to do a rate study. And so what staff is proposing is to conduct such a study to look at our rates, making sure not only to keeping up with cost of goods and supplies, CPI, but also making sure that our master plans that we develop are consistent and that we have funding available from the rates. As you know, rates, the studies in terms of our utilities, water, sewer is reasonably borne cost pursuant to Prop 218, but the key to any rate adjustment, and we're not proposing rate adjustment at this point, is to develop and create a nexus study. So that's what this item is pertaining to, and I'll defer to our Public Works Director to make the presentation. Mike.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council, among the initiatives in the next fiscal year budget that you just adopted is to conduct a rate study. The last rate study was conducted in 2017, and which resulted in a 5-year rate plan adoption by the council. The last of the scheduled rate increases per that plan went into effect a couple of years ago. And while the water and wastewater enterprises are projected to be fully funded this coming fiscal year, future years are showing potential budget shortfalls. So we need to be in a position to consider a new financial plan and at least revisit the possibility for rate adjustments. It should be noted that refuse rates have been addressed with the current franchise hauling agreements. We don't need to address that in this particular study. The upcoming budget for the study is $100,000, based on a breakdown of $80,000 to cover a proposal submitted by Revtelis Financial Consultants, and additional $20,000 for legal services provided by the City Attorney's Office. Now, Revtelis prepared the previous study in 2017. Back then, it cost well over $100,000. It's less this time because we have one less utility to consider. And there's a lot of research and preliminary background work that was covered in the last study that we don't need to do this time. And while there are other consultants that can submit proposals for this study, Revtelis's background provides efficiency and likely significant cost savings by resuming basically where they left off. So they're already in data gathering mode right now, and they're prepared, provided we can get them authorized to start by next month to have the rate study completed by the end of the year. And between now and the end of the year, staff will provide routine updates on the status of the study, and will certainly provide insight if there's recommendations that are forthcoming. So with that, we're requesting authorization to award the professional services agreement to Revtelis Financial Consultants. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that. Council, any questions or comments? With none, I'm looking for a motion to carry.
I'll move carry.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Proud, a second by Councilmember Olvera. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Olvera,
Yes.
Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes. Moving on to item number 4, Community Development Block Grant Home Investment Partnership Emergency Solutions Grants Programs Funding Cooperative Agreement. That was a mouthful. Mr.
Certainly, Mayor and Council, as you know, the city receives an annual allocation of CDBG funding from the Department of Housing and Urban Development federal program. The city is not an entitlement city. In other words, we do not compete at the state level, but rather we are part of the county program. And so every 3 years, we are required to renew our cooperation agreement with the county so that the county can continue to administer the CDBG program on our behalf, funding the requirements, and then that way we can continue to move forward and implement quality of life projects like we've done in the past with the CDBG funding. So this is a routine ministerial for the county that in order for us to continue to participate in the CDBG program with the county and for them to continue to administer the program on our behalf, we need to renew this 3-year cooperation agreement with the county for future CDBG funding.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments? If none, looking for a motion, please.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Olvera, second by Councilmember Alvarado. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Olvera,
Yes.
Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes. Item number 5, approval of master agreement with Cosmont Agency for hotel feasibility study and developer advisory services in the amount not to exceed $35,000.
Sorry, Mayor and Council, as you know, we came back from ICSC with a lot of valuable intelligence and information. And one of the things that we are looking to do is continue those efforts because we have a lot of momentum in that regard. And so this is a master agreement with Cosmont Associates who have been assisting the city with economic development activities and efforts. And I'm going to defer to our economic development coordinator, Bob Meadows, to make the presentation. Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Honorable Mayor and members of the Shafter City Council. As our city manager stated, we're requesting approval of a master agreement with Cosmont Agency for a hotel feasibility study and developer advisory services in the amount not to exceed 35,000. Again, we retained Cosmont back in March of 2023, real estate advisory services and business developer attraction, which included those meetings and the connections that we did make in Las Vegas at the ICSC conference. Those meetings did reveal more potential than we ever imagined. So moving forward, this is going to be a necessary part of our economic plan. We did find the hotel feasibility study is the first request of every hotel representative. They want to know if you have that. We do not yet. So it would not only behoove us to have that to respond to those representatives, but to have as a resource for future conversations with hotel reps. In addition, the request for the qualifications and proposal for a developer, that ensures that we get collaboration with a developer that we can work with and is also reputable as we begin to establish ourselves with a financial team to go forward on other projects. The hotel feasibility study will cost no more than 15,000. And that is available this year, could be funded from the current professional services budget in the Economic Development Department. The RFQP for developer services, that can be funded from the $100,000 one-time approval that you gave as part of the 23-24 budget. That will come from that. That was approved on May 31st, and the maximum to be assessed there would be 20,000. That would cover the action that we need. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments, concerns, folks? We're excited.
I just, it sounds very good. It sounds very good. I'm excited as well. And I know when you guys came back, you gave a report and it even made it even more exciting. Just from my understanding, a developer advisory service, what is that?
We're gonna, that Cosmont has the expertise and the experience to be able to screen. When this is put out, the request for qualifications, that will be made public and developers can then submit that for us for consideration to be the developer that we will work with in the future. So they'll essentially be screening them for us based on their, and it will ultimately be our decision, your decision here. But they have the expertise to do that and work with the real estate experience. So they will help us have somebody that we can work with. It'll be on board with our plan and our vision for the city.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Good question. Anyone else? Okay, with that, I'm looking for a motion for approval.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, a second by Councilmember Olvera. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Olvera,
Yes.
Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes. Fantastic. On to item number 6. Good job, council. You guys are moving well through this, like a well-oiled machine. Item number 6, award a construction agreement to Griffith Company, Inc. for the Lerdo Highway Reconstruction Project from Valley Street to Shafter Avenue.
Sorry, Mayor Council, just a brief introduction. As you know, we continue to do a lot of major road improvements, and this is just another one of those that we continue to work on. And with that, I want to defer to our Deputy Public Works Engineer over Capital Projects, Alex Gonzalez. Alex?
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council, there's currently $1 million programmed in the capital improvement project to reconstruct Lerdo Highway between Shafter Avenue and Valley Street. This includes full reconstruction of the pavement as well as the curb, gutter, and sidewalk along that stretch. Public Works conducted formal bid procedures for the project, which resulted in 3 bids being received. We did request that each bidder provide 2 numbers. The first one being the base bid, which limited the project from Shafter Avenue to Wall Street, as well as an additive alternate that extended it from Wall Street all the way to Valley. That would give us some flexibility in the event that, the numbers came in high, we could downsize the project to fit within our budget. As submitted, Griffith Company submitted the lowest base bid at approximately $520,000. They also submitted an alternative bid price of $453,000 for the other stretch, which totals for approximately $973,000. Griffith has completed numerous projects for us in the past. They most recently completed the Pozo Street improvements that was storm drain and road improvements for us. To award the full project scope, we're looking at probably a budget of around $1.3 $50,000, which would require an additional 50,000 in capital improvement street funding if we awarded the entire project. If that's the case, staff will bring a future agenda item to request a budget increase for the project. And while a reduced project award for the base bid, would save costs and would result in fewer construction days, Public Works recommends completing the full scope now so we don't have to come back and just do one block of road improvements at another time. We had hoped to avoid impacts to the local school traffic with this project, but there is a strong likelihood that the construction crews will still be working on the scope of work when next school year starts. So we will be in contact in the next few days with Richland staff to discuss strategies and detour plans and trying to find ways that we can minimize the impact to school and drop off and everything like that. In addition to that, we will be working with the contractor that is awarded to try to figure out a way to prioritize the portions of the project that are going to impact the school the most and see if we can focus on those to get those done. And we'll also try to expedite the start of construction so that we can get it done as quickly as possible and try to get as much work done before school starts. So as of right now, we are recommending or requesting that we have authorization to award to Griffith Company and issue a notice of award and notice to proceed to them.
Very good. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Yes, I have. When you say Shafter Avenue, is that including 5 Points?
So currently the scope is not going to extend into 5 Points. It'll go right kind of up to the intersection, but it'll stay on Lerdo Highway and not get into Shafter Avenue so that we don't have to shut down Shafter Avenue to do that work or shut down the intersection completely.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
To further extend that one, the road really needs more improvements on the east side, coming east from 5 Points, as well as on Shafter Avenue. So what are we going to say to the people when they see this project starting that will satisfy or make them feel and we're going to have to somehow wait before we can finish the project, so to speak? In other words, how are we going to do the rest of Lerdo coming this way? And how are we going to do Shafter Avenue? It's a big question, isn't it?
Well, Mayor Pro Tem, it's a matter of not only using the funds you have available, but not turning the whole area into a war zone at one time. So we're trying to balance addressing the community's needs with, making things worth by having too much going on at one time. And so we have a really good track record. And Zerker Road is the one that comes to mind where we have steady, phased implementation of improvements. And you could see that over the course of the past few years, we've addressed probably 1.5 miles along Zerker Road with more to come. So 7 Standard, Lerdo Highway are really no different. They're top priorities when we have allocations through the FTIP or grants, opportunities like that. So it's a multi-phase project. It's a focused project. And fortunately with Lerdo, in the portion that you mentioned or Shafter Avenue, there's not really any environmental work that's required, nothing special. We're not increasing capacity. So it's pretty shovel ready when routine funding or special funding becomes available. So we haven't lost sight that there's other phases. This one phase stood out mainly because there was some pretty extreme rutting of the asphalt between the McDonald's and the Starbucks. And it's a pretty narrow corridor with some significant pedestrian improvements to address. But we haven't lost focus on the other portions as well.
But my question is, how are we going to address this to the public so that they can accept and understand that we only have funding for this portion, and when are we going to be able to think about funding for the other parts?
I think the key is to
Because it doesn't happen.
One big step is the capital improvement program that the council incorporated into this year's budget. It shows a multi-year focused approach, persistent approach to completing those projects, and we'll just have to make that a work in progress. But I think that's my short answer is the capital improvement program. After we finally have a document that shows steady progress in that direction.
There's no money that we have ready to go to keep extending it within the next year.
One potential source would be the balance that we have in traffic impact fees that have been collected over the years. Those are truly intended for capacity increasing projects. But One could argue that with increased truck traffic and increased traffic in general, you're needing to beef up the street section to expand it for, for more traffic and heavier truck traffic. So that's a source of funding. I thought we had, as I recall, we had at least 5 to 6 million in there, but we also have some pretty significant commitments in other areas too that we need to be mindful of for that source of
Yeah,
funding.
well, of course, I understand it, but that's why I'm saying somehow we should have a program or some thoughts put in as to how we're going to, and not just on social media, because not everybody sees social media. We need to have something because a lot of people ask me why we had to close Santa Fe, starting at the Los Angeles Beach, wherever we want to call it. They knew nothing about what was going to happen, and it's well used. Fortunately, we didn't have school going on at this time, but there was a lot of concern about it. Even last night, I still heard more about it. And they're okay because they know that the shoulders are going to make a great improvement. But somehow, I don't know how we can, maybe a sign, or I don't know, we need to do something more to let the people know that we definitely are aware of those things and it's going to happen, and it's safety, it's benefits everybody.
Yeah, you said it yourself. I mean, the closure that we're experiencing right now is to really, safety is the biggest motivating factor for going a long stretch like that. And, ideally, we limit the section that we're closing, but it made more sense to have the contractor there working long stretches.
Oh, I know what
Yeah,
you're saying,
Yeah,
but that's
so
what we
but
need
it's
somehow.
just making that clear to the public as far as what our strategy is there.
And the other one I had was, how do we divert the traffic on that section now, going back to Lerdo over here? How are we going to divert that traffic when there's big construction going on? Because it's heavily traveled.
Mhm.
So where are we going to send them, the detour?
So we will work closely with the contractor that's awarded the bid to come up with a traffic control plan, and it'll be large scale. It'll be done by a professional traffic control company that'll be implemented. That'll basically provide detour routes and locations for truck traffic and pedestrian traffic to go to. In addition to that, I would believe that they would try to keep it open as long as possible and work, in the areas without having to have full closures. For as long as possible. There will be times when that is not possible, when they're paving and different things like that. But that's always the intent, is try to allow traffic to continue to use the road, as long as they can while still being safe. Ultimately, that is something that we work closely with the contractor on to make sure that it's a plan that we're both happy with and willing to implement. And we'll push that plan out in a couple of different avenues through city channels as well to make sure the public is aware. I'm sure there's going to be signage, multiple weeks ahead of time to let people know that it's coming.
I have a question. Did Griffith Company provide an anticipated date of completion? I know that it's hard, but I mean, projected.
They have not provided an anticipated date of completion. Usually they provide a project schedule after it's awarded. That's one of the first things they do. We did just allow them a certain amount of contract time. And then from there, they usually fit their schedule in during that time.
Thank you.
Councilmember Olvera, some of this is on us. We need to make sure we have a timely issuance of an award. And then they're going to have to promptly turn around contracts and bonds and things like that. But we're trying to put ourselves in the city in a position to act on this as quickly as possible. We're hoping to break ground, preferably the middle of July.
Yeah.
So we have a good 3 or 4 weeks till we can get as much done as possible, particularly before the school year starts.
It's gonna be an issue, some challenges there for traffic.
Yeah, because it's so heavily traveled.
Yes.
I mean, that's
Absolutely.
both Santa Fe and Lerdo,
Correct.
that, so.
Mhm.
Okay.
I just asked one, it happened because of James Street, when they were doing James Street. Is there any chance that they could work at night? So that was just a question.
Probably not within the budget that we're with a prevailing wage job. It's basically with a time and a half, or what are we looking at for?
It's at least time and a half. I'm not sure if it's more than that. I don't think that we've done night work on a job since I've been here, so I'd have to look into it more and get a number if that's.
Yeah, I think
something-
people will accept it. It just has to happen and it's going to be an improvement. But I know we're going to hear it on Shafter Avenue as well as this side of the 5 Points.
Mm.
Because they want to see it all done.
I think you're gonna hear a lot more. We got McDonald's site fixed and Fast Trip not fixed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just, because everybody's driving over there. Yeah. Well, just,
Start.
maybe maybe we can just keep mentioning it so that people will listen.
Understood.
Thank you.
Any other questions? The one that had all the questions. I like it.
Right.
All right. With that being said, I'm looking for a motion for approval, please.
A motion. A motion to approve.
Second.
All right. We have a motion by Councilmember Olvera, second by Councilmember Alvarado. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Olvera,
Yes.
Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
and Gibbon.
Yes. Well, very good. Those are our 6 management report items for the evening. Moving on to our city manager comments and reports. Mr. Gonzalez, you have one item.
Sir, Mayor and Council, the Shafter Education Partnership Council Ad hoc Committee comprised of Mayor Gibbons and Councilmember Alvarado met last week to discuss the education program, particularly the Learning Center, and it was agreed upon by the ad hoc committee that to the full council to engage in a department assessment of the Learning Center in terms of the original mission, if you will, for when the Learning Center was established back in 2014, and assess the department in terms of its effectiveness and the number of children going through the program, the programs that we're administering, and then come back to council with a report. This is not related to anything budgetary, but it's more so to assess the level of services and programs of the education, the Learning Center itself, not the library, but just the Learning Center. And so we want to bring this matter before you to let you know that the ad hoc committee, and it's just more of a informational, I don't even think I need a thumbs up or down from the ad hoc committee to the full council to let you know that they're recommending to engage in a department assessment of the Learning Center. Any questions? I don't know, Mayor Gibbons or Councilmember Alvarado, if there's anything else you want to chime in on that regarding the assessment.
To be clear, this isn't an assessment in a bad way.
Right.
But part of it didn't sound the most positively spun there. So the intention of the assessment is to ask ourselves, where were we? Where are we at? Where are we going? It's more or less another way of saying what kind of goals do we have set out for our Learning Center, and ensure that we're on the right track to do what's best for our community around us. What does that look like today? I don't think any of us know. I think that's why the question is coming up. And so this isn't in no way, shape, or form to say that there was any problems with education. I'm looking right at Mr. France here. That's not the case, because I truly believe, and I think the group as a whole believes that the job that's being done is great. The question at hand is, what is the job, right? And so we don't know. And I think if we have an assessment and we have something out there, then we have a better idea of what we need to look forward to for the next, 10, 15, 20 years. And it better propels us into the future of what we're walking into. And I've said it a lot this year, I'll say it again, with the fact that the city's growing the way we are. Having these goals established, having the vision established and who we are and where we're going is going to be critical, because if we don't offer the services properly to our residents, we're going to end up in the situation talking about East South Shafter Avenue and West South Shafter Avenue. So it's just a matter of preparing ourselves for the future and knowing that, we can have this conversation what it looks like tomorrow.
So thank you for that clarification for that, Mayor. Yeah, you're right. I think one of the things about doing a review of the program is to what I call the 3 R's: reevaluate, redefine, and then refine. And so I think that's the goal, is just to make it better and to make sure that we're on point. And this would be consistent with the strategic goals that the city council had just recently been having in terms of the last 2 strategic goal workshops the council has had. So informational item, and there's no further questions because we can't really engage in a full discussion because it's not a formal agenda item. But if any of you have any questions separately, you can always contact me directly. A couple other items from the city manager's report, just a couple of friendly reminders. The MAD Recognition Award is taking place this Thursday, June 22nd, 11 a.m. at the Bakersfield Marriott at the Convention Center. I believe that besides Chief Zimmerman, Mayor Gibbons, Mayor Pro Tem Prout, and Councilmember Espinoza are attending. And then just friendly reminder that we have a city council special meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, the 27th at 4 p.m. And then with that, that concludes my reports. And we do have two reports on Department Director, one under Community Engagement, one under Public Works. So at this time, I'm going to defer to our Community Engagement Manager to give you a presentation on OnSolve Code Red, which is a communication platform to notify our residents of incidents and be able to engage them, keep them informed. So with that, Rachel.
There you go.
Thank you, Gabriel.
There's two there, I think.
Okay. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. So a few months back, we had an incident where there was a shooting, just a few blocks from here, a couple blocks from here. And with that incident, came panic. As you recall, the police, Shafter PD responded immediately to that incident. They notified Richland School District, and correct me if I'm wrong as I go, Chief, but immediately notifying the school district turned around and notified their schools, which then asked their schools to go on lockdown. All schools, including Sequoia, that was clearly across town, nowhere near the incident, causing the panic. And nowadays, everyone has cell phones, even our young ones in some of these elementary schools. And so the information of what was going on was flooding phones, was flooding phone calls into the PD, and caused us to pause and see what is it that we can do to better push out information with instances like this in the near future. So with that, we contacted several emergency and mass notification systems, and OnSolve Code Red stood out to us. Not only are we able to send emergency notifications to the public with their platform, we can also send non-emergency time-sensitive announcements to citizens. Currently, we are using Blackboard, and we use that to send you guys the agenda. We use it with our employee newsletter to our employees. So this platform will allow us to use it for emergency instances and non-emergency. So I'm going to highlight some of the key highlights that we thought that stood out for the platform. And let me move this slide. One of them is, like I just mentioned, we can use it for our day-to-day communications to our citizens, emergency and non-emergency. The platform also has a library built in that has customizable templates for emergency situations and non-emergency situations that we can customize them to us for our city. We can easily manage contacts on the platform. So with our utility billing, we have 4,700 customers. We can easily upload those customers onto the platform where they immediately get notifications, whether it's emergency or non-emergency. Currently with Blackboard, citizens have to sign up to get those notifications. So with Code Red, we can easily transfer that information with the file and upload it onto Code Red, so citizens don't have to sign up. In addition, once you have your contacts in Code Red, you can form group contacts. So we can have a group for just Shafter employees. We can have a group for all Shafter schools. So back to the incident, we can send a message immediately to the schools notifying them, but we can also send one simultaneously to the citizens. Also, not the same message, but something similar, just letting them know what is going on. Another thing that we can do is as you prepare those messages to be sent out, you're able to send them out via multiple channels. So we can send them out SMS, voice, email, and through the Code Red app, all at once. And lastly, every message that is sent out, there are feedback and analytical reports that we can pull from each message that we sent. Those reports will help with any undeliverable numbers, addresses. So it'll help us keep our database up to date. We can also, a couple times a year, reload our utility customers into the platform. So it's always up-to-date information with our contacts. So those were some of the highlights that we thought that really stood out. So this screen here, this just shows you the templates. This doesn't have a pointer, does it? Oh, yeah, it does. No, but the light. Sorry. I was trying to see like if I can circle and stuff. So this is the platform. This is what it looks like. This is the template section. So we can build these templates. Like I mentioned, there's a library that is within Code Red, and we can customize these templates to the city of Shafter. This is where we would have all our people, our contacts, so we can add them by as easy as an Excel spreadsheet file. We can upload them, we can manually do them and edit them. But this is what that would look like. And then our groups, as you can see, there's 3 groups there. So we can have our staff. We can also do, if you look over to the right, we can create a group by a 5-mile radius. So anyone that's within that 5-mile radius, we can automatically create a group. And then we can create groups if we get files, like say from the school district, and we can immediately load those contacts and create groups by school districts, service clubs. It just depends. You know, the possibilities are pretty endless of what you can do. So I'm gonna play a quick little
Let's
video
say for this example, we need to send an alert
of what it's
regarding
gonna look
police
like when
activity.
we do push out an alert. So just a quick little video so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like, and then I'll be open to any questions. You wanna
in our
start?
city. After zooming the map down into our city area by clicking on my recipient icons, you can see I have this area at a zoom level that I can work with. And from here, I can utilize the mapping tools to draw a square around this large area that we want to notify. You'll immediately notice at the bottom, the system has given us a count of the number of records that are inside our shape. This count includes both our internal and external contacts that are in the selection area, because we haven't made a determination yet as to whether we're going to notify one data set, the other, or both. At this point, I'm just a few quick steps from sending this alert. We'll give this alert a name. I'm going to set my severity at emergency because this is a life safety event. I'm going to notify both databases, meaning my internal employee records as well as the public, because this is a shelter-in-place notice that affects both groups. The defaulted delivery modalities in the next section here are pretty comprehensive for this event, so they require no editing. But as you see, I could simply toggle them on and off if I wanted to based on the use case and add them back in as we need to. The final step is to place your message in the message block, select any response options that we need to initiate that two-way interaction with our recipients, and then simply send the alert. This example showed us very quickly how we could move from logging into the platform to sending a geo-targeted alert very quickly with a linear, streamlined workflow. Let's say for this example, we need to send an alert regarding police activity in our city.
So with that, the messaging won't be something that we will be typing as we're doing that. We will have these customized templates ready to go.
so that one is not having to type the message as an incident occurs. But that's just to kind of give you a general idea of how the platform works. So with that, we believe that our organization will benefit from this platform. And it allows us to use multiple channels to inform and engage and most importantly, protect our citizens. So do you have any questions?
Very good.
Mayor, if I may just add to that, that this was this was interdepartmental cooperative effort involving cross departments, particularly PD. And ultimately, it was decided as a group that this is not only a robust program, user friendly, but it helps meet the objective. As we have experienced firsthand in a crisis, there's panic, there's fear, and communication is key and it's paramount. And because we are a small agency, a small department, when there's a major incident like that, our officers are out there doing what they do, and that is out there securing the area, securing the community. And so to expect our police department and you got to imagine, dispatch communication center is overwhelmed. They're getting flooded with calls coming in. And so anything we can do to alleviate them of having to man, well, we don't have the manpower, first of all, to man a call center for instance like this. This is a tool that would allow us to do mass communication targeted. I know that you and I were trying to get information to schools, to teachers, and they were trying to find out because the lockdown order went out for schools and the teachers, and then later they were trying to get information. So we believe, or we're a strong opinion that this program will allow us to do targeted communication during a major incident. God willing, we don't have to experience another incident like that, but this will further prepare us. And as Rachel has explained, this program allows us to do other forms of non-emergency communication to the community as well. So the cost is very minimal. But we believe the benefits of having such a program is very worthwhile, particularly for a small agency like us. So just wanted to add that there.
Yes, sir. Questions?
Yes, I have a couple. One, have we researched if any other cities are using it, and have we received any feedback from them?
Yes, and I wasn't prepared to bring those, but I did receive 3 references and I reached out to all 3. The closest one is Mojave, and all references are good, and I can send those to you guys tonight just so you have them, but all positive.
Okay. Yeah. And then my second question, who would be responsible to put this information out when these incidents are happening?
So based on our meeting, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gabriel, it's going to be a combination between the PD and myself. Correct? I think that's what we.
Yes. Yeah, we're developing different categories, if you will. As you know, you got different threat levels of, all hands on deck to depending the nature of the incident. So based on that, we'll be able to determine who's lead under what circumstances. Obviously, an active shooting incident or an incident like we had a few months back, PD would not be able to man it, so that would fall under Rachel. But let's say it's more of like a hostage situation that it builds up. There's a warrant being served and goes into a hostage situation. Then initially the PD might be able to administer until they got too involved. Then it would transition over to Rachel. So those details we're still working out based on the category, based on the emergency plan, and based on the incident. We'll determine who will be lead, but there'll be interdepartmental cooperation between our community engagement manager and PD.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Mayor and Council, next item is Public Works. We're going to do 2 items. One is an update of the Aquatic Center, which our Public Works Director, Mike James, will make. And the other is, you just heard tonight, and there's a lot of interest on what the street work is being planned and how we're going to mitigate some of the impacts and how we're going to make improvements to other streets. So the second half of that presentation will be made by Alex Gonzalez, our Deputy Public Works Director over CIP, who will give you a street project update. So first, let me hand it off to Mike, who will give you an update on the Aquatic Center project. Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. I'm going to let the Deputy Clerk pull up the presentation. Honorable Mayor, members of the Shaft City Council, as you know, I mean, Public Works is currently managing a project to restore the Aquatic Center. We'd like to use this opportunity to share where we're at in the process and how and when we expect to complete the project. So if I could advance the next slide. First, we'd like to provide a little background on how we got to this point. Late in 2019, the Shafter Recreation and Park District terminated its joint pool use agreement with the city. And this agreement relied very heavily on the district leading operation and maintenance at the pool. So essentially, even before COVID, we had to shut the pool down. But it was kind of a moot point because COVID forced us to shut down just about everything early in 2020. Obviously when COVID hit, council and staff had other priorities to address. But in 2021, in anticipation of COVID restrictions being lifted, the city hosted discussions with pool stakeholders, the rec district, Richland School District, Current High School District, and a local swim club to attempt to update and renew joint use agreements. But it was difficult to get into the specifics on cost sharing when we really didn't have a true sense of what the restoration work and cost would be. So early in 2022, the city had a site assessment performed by a pool consultant. Funds for the assessment were made possible by ARPA. There were ARPA funds. And the breakdown of some of the more significant items is provided in this slide to the right, particularly the operational items. So we use these recommendations provided in the assessment ultimately to secure a state Clean California grant. The award for the grant was made official in March, and the state actually turned around the agreement pretty quick by state standards. We got the agreement in June. And upon executing the agreement, we immediately conducted an RFP to recruit design services. Just happened to be the same consultant that prepared the site assessment, and there was a single proposal, but it was the same consultant that prepared the site assessment. So we felt pretty confident moving forward. And that award to that consultant was authorized by the council in November. Slide. This particular slide shows the remaining schedule. The last few months, or last few weeks, I should say, we completed a topography survey of the site, which will assist in the with the design of the drainage. And we hear from the consultant that there'll be schematic plans are expected by the end of this week. And I should point out that even though Clean California funds will have little impact on the main building, we had our design consultant prepare an assessment of the building in anticipation of using ARPA funds, additional ARPA funds, to upgrade or replace the building. As you may recall, the council previously authorized $700,000 to add to the Clean California grant funds. So looking ahead, the plan is to finalize the design, at least of the exterior, the pool portion of the facility this summer, and bid that work this fall and commence construction before the end of the year. And with construction completion targeted by June of next year, which is required by the Clean California grant anyway. Now, this timing forecast for the design and construction work may disappoint and even frustrate some, but it's important to point out that the project essentially consists of rebuilding the site. There's some pretty big ticket items, replacing the entire deck, concrete floor, resurfacing the pool, replacing the pump, filtration and heating system, that all have to be designed and built at the same time, and they all have to complement each other, which requires careful and time-consuming engineering work. We regret, but we feel that it'll pay off when the project is ultimately completed. Next slide, please. Finally, looking ahead to the ARPA funds, as I stated, the design consultant completed an assessment of the building, particularly the inside of the building, and made recommendations to improve access, plumbing, and other miscellaneous improvements. And while these upgrades can be completed within the 700,000 that's been allocated to the project, it's important to point out that they're functional upgrades. They're not necessarily that the site's not going to really look a heck of a lot better. So alternatives to modifying or upgrading the building includes replacing or completely rebuilding the structure on site. Or another alternative is to install modular buildings off-site and install them on-site. So, but and although the alternatives would allow the main building to look and function better, but they appear to be costing more than the ARPA funds that we have currently committed to the project. So something to consider that in addition to the ARPA funding, there would be local funding potentially to add to this to fully fund the building upgrades, whether it's especially if we're completely rebuilding that structure. I should point out that we're continuing to research rebuilding options and costs and looking ahead. Staff suggests maybe even working with the council committee or anyone you might suggest that could be of assistance to us so we can finalize the strategy for the building. But whatever we choose, the ARPA deadline to use the funds is December of next year. So that concludes the pool portion of the presentation. And before I hand it off to Mr. Gonzalez for the street portion, I'd be happy to respond to questions or comments.
To both Gabriel and Michael, are we looking to do, are you looking for a committee? And you mentioned the question on it.
It's Mayor and Council. It's a consideration to involve the council at this point, particularly on the modular building, explore some options. So that is something that I can agendize for future discussion. That is something the council is willing to entertain.
Probably wouldn't hurt to agendize and just have the conversation. I think we have existing conversations with, especially for the one for the police substation, correct? I don't know if that's something to tie together. I don't know. I don't know the conversation of that. But you having that conversation with, is it the same architect?
No. The substation that's already underway. Mayor and Council, I've reported to you before. We already have a architect on board who's done preliminary space conceptual layout. We already have PD has formed an ad hoc committee within the department, so that's well underway on that regard.
It's worth pointing out, however, that the sub-consultant working under our prime consultant for the pool project is Ortiz Melby, who did make a presentation to the council regarding the amenities at the pool that can be considered. At that time, I believe the price tag was $4 million for all of the bells and whistles, but we're not talking about that necessarily here, but that same architect is under contract as a sub-consultant that could be utilized to assist you with the informed decision.
So to clarify, this would be any consideration for an ad hoc committee would be for the aquatic center.
What was that question again? What was that comment? What was that comment again?
The question was, I believe the Mayor Gibbons was referring to if there is an ad hoc committee, a council ad hoc committee formed, would they be working on the police substation? I'm making clarification. No. I misunderstood then.
What I was insinuating was if we already have an existing architect on board, I didn't remember if it was the same architect for the police substation as it is for the pool. I couldn't remember which one it was. If we had one already existing, which we do, different architects. We already have one existing. I don't know if there's a need for council to sit on as a committee because we don't need to drag this thing out any further for you. But if you feel that there's a way that would help improve the speed or the idea of this getting done sooner, then I don't see why we wouldn't have that conversation. But if it's not going to help and we're just going to drag it out, then keep going with the architect you have and work it out.
The issue we're facing or the crossroads we're at is, whether to stay within the ARPA funds and get the most out of the ARPA funding and perhaps revisit the future of the building for a future project, or we want to consider making that investment to replace the building, even if it surpasses the ARPA allocation.
The difference between replacing and fixing is huge. Right? I do construction for a living. You're not that far off, and I know we're not here to vote on that. So I can only give you my thumbs that are pointing in the upward direction to say, just replace it. But that's the best I can do.
I know of someone in the community that has offered to give some input, and I'll share that with you.
If there are any other, unless there are any other questions or thoughts regarding the pool, I'd like to have Deputy Director Gonzalez address the future of street projects.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council. So I'm going to go over some of the road improvement projects for fiscal year 23-24. We'll kick it off with the Santa Fe Shoulder Project. As you guys know and alluded to, it's already underway. I think they've been under construction for about 3 weeks now. And obviously they're doing it in 2 segments. You know, the first segment being Los Angeles to Cherry, and then they'll flip over Cherry and, you know, go all the way out to Galpin. As of today, I think they're working on subgrade compaction. And so hopefully, you know, in the next couple weeks, they'll have base and then get it paved and striped and on to the next one. I think the estimated completion date for that is sometime in September. So next one is Lerdo Highway reconstruction, as we talked about a little bit earlier. Anticipated start date is July, hopefully, so as quickly as we can get going in July. And then September is, I think, towards the end of the contract time, but hopefully we can expedite that by working with the contractor. So those are 2 projects that are currently either awarded or under construction. So as we move on to some of the planned projects for this year, 7 standard number 2 lane reconstruction. So this is basically from the Frank Kern Canal all the way down to Zerka Road, reconstructing the lane basically that the trucks drive in, removing and replacing the asphalt, either the top layer or the whole thing, depending on how bad that section of roadway is. We are in the process of issuing this project for bid. So this was a Caltrans federally funded project. We have our authorization to fund or to go to construction. So I believe we already have authorization to bid this project. We just need to get it out the door. And hopefully we can start this one in August of this year. The 2023 residential road improvement project. So this is the annual residential project. So this one focuses on more residential streets, not necessarily the major streets. Currently we're in planning and design phase. So currently the roads that are under consideration are Oak Street from Tulare Avenue to State, and then Riker Street from Lerdo Highway to West Dash. And as we get into design and looking at what the engineering assessment are, then obviously we will come back for further direction and authorization to bid those as we narrow that down as well. And, just as an FYI on how we pick some of those roads, we do have a layer that we maintain through our dashboard that is PCI or road conditions. That was done a while ago. We took a visual drive of as many of the roads as we can, trying to label them by the condition that they're in. And we use that as a basis for what roads we're going to do for all the different types of fundings. And then based on the condition of the road and the type of funding available to us, we pick the projects that make the most sense. Some of the fundings sources make it challenging to do certain types of projects with certain elements. And certain types of funding only allow us to spend that money on, certain types of roads that carry enough traffic or things like that. So sometimes we're limited on where we can spend some of especially the federal and state funds. So that's kind of how we pick some of our projects, but that project is summer of 2024. So usually we put that out to bid sometime in, winter, January, February, so that we can start once the weather warms up and we don't have any rain. The last of them is Zerka Road reconstruction. So currently we're in design on this one as well. This is probably another project that's going to happen next summer. You'll see on there, you have a little map of we've done multiple phases of Zerka Road, and Mike alluded to this one earlier. This is phase 3. So we've completed phase 1 and phase 2. Both sections, we're tackling it in about 3,500 foot sections. There's a lot of reconstruction to do. The road was not built to handle the traffic it is. So we have to go all the way down to basically to the dirt, to the subgrade, and rebuild the whole thing. So it's expensive to go anywhere on this project. And so you can see the green area, that's the stuff we've already completed. Phase 3, the project that we're targeting is right around the curve there. So the Garlic Company entrance is there. That'll take us almost to the existing JS Ag facility. And then beyond that point, those are future phases that we can look at in the future once we have funding available, same as to the south. And just to address the question, why we haven't addressed the stuff south of the completed phases is there is a specific plan there, you know, for some of the development to the west of that that impacts that portion of Zerker Road. Not only does it, you know, potentially have rebuilding portions of it, but it actually could potentially realign that road. So investing money in that to only have a developer move that road or do some type of significant improvement to it didn't seem prudent at the time. So we haven't, you know, tackled that direction yet.
What's the daily vehicle traffic on Zerker?
Oh, I don't, you know that, Mike?
Approximately 10,000.
Thank you.
That is the end of, you know, the current projects that we have planned for this year.
And if
Yeah.
I may, Mayor and Council, in addition to street construction projects, Public Works is continuing to assess safety improvements along at least 3 traffic corridors. Tulare Avenue between Poplar and Highway 43, Laredo Highway between Poplar and Schneid, and Los Angeles Avenue between Poplar and Shafter Avenue. In all 3 cases, we have a traffic consultant advising staff on some recommendations and deficiencies, which is important just because of how much pedestrian and vehicular traffic you see out there. But we anticipate there will be requests before the council as early as August to approve new regulatory signage, at least for Tulare Avenue. So just be on the lookout for that.
Very good.
If there's any other questions.
Okay, nothing else on the roads.
Right.
Go ahead, Mr. Gonzalez.
I was gonna say, Mayor and Council, that concludes Department Director reports. We have nothing further.
Okay, very good. That is the meeting for the evening. We will move into recess. We have one item on closed session, which is a conference with real property negotiators for assessors parcel number 028-20031. I need a motion to move into recess.
I'll move.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Olvera, second by Councilmember Alvarado. All those in favor with
Aye.
aye, same sign opposed. Okay, we are recess.
these trees. But harvesting a tree takes years of expertise, steady hands. Every summer, harvesters clean off the work. As the trees regenerate, they'll never run out of wood. Today, Portugal harvests 100,000.
Hey, Henry, you're gonna give the report back, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right, very good. Okay, it is 7:57. We are back from our closed session and I will look to our city attorney's office to lead us out. Mr. Castillo.
Thank you, Mayor. The city council met with its real property negotiators and took no reportable action.
Very good. Seeing as there is nothing else for the evening, I am looking for a motion to dismiss. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Proud, a second by Councilmember Alvarado. All those in favor with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. We are dismissed at 7:50.